What a wonderful message on the Grandmothers of Christmas. So powerful and encouraging. It's encouraging, I think, for all of our lives of not only what has, like you said, who has a perfect background. Out of all of the different genealogies, because, of course, God could pick, he could choose whoever he wanted. He created them. He created everybody. So which genealogy do I want? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think I would have chosen, I wouldn't have chosen the one he did. But what encouragement it is for us, because he chose a faith genealogy over a natural genealogy. He saw faith in that lineage that brought the people in some of the worst situations, but they were living a life of faith. And that's still what pleases him, is faith. And now we're in that faith generation.
Absolutely. I think it's, to your point, one of the keys out of this is we can think like, oh, there's no hope for my family. All these women could have said, oh, there's no hope for me. Ruth could have said, there's no hope for me. But, if you have faith and hope, faith is the substance of things hoped for, this genealogy is telling you, I'll pull you out of that. And I'll give you, not just you, but your generations to come, I'll give you an overcoming abundant life.
Yeah.
Jesus came to give us a life more abundantly, but it's that faith action. And all these women were gutsy ladies, and had faith and action working.
I like the way you explained Bathsheba in particular, because if anyone could have had a bitterness and resentment, because she would have admired King David, her father, her husband, serving him. She grew up around that. So there would have been a great honor and would have felt so violated by him. And yet she chose to say, I am going to allow God to turn what is a mess into a message, and I am going to train up my son in God's ways in a very purposeful way, which she did.
Yeah, I think that's the cool part of it, whether it be Rahab, all of them could have just said, I'm a victim of my situation, but all of them had this, they purposed to, I'm going to rise above that, and I'm not going to look backwards, I'm going to look forward, and that's woven into all their story, which is, I guess, a takeaway for us is we all have stuff in our past, we could be stuck in our past, but if we put faith in God, he gives us a new life. Things passed away. Everything's become new. And Jesus is saying, put your trust in me and watch what I will do, not just for you, but for the generations to come.
I love that.
And I think even in our church world, it's not just about our generation. And our prayer, Pastor Cheryl and I from day one, and our lead team, our board, is being, God, we don't want to be a one-generation church, that we're here for 30 years and then it was kind of shooting star, it's here and gone. We want to be, if the Lord tarries 100 years from now and Coastal's still here, we want to be more on fire for God, more filled with the Spirit, more outwardly focused, doing far more than we could ever do. We're just believing for the next generation to do even more, and so we need to plan for that.
Yeah, and
so we have some announcements about that.
We do. Yeah, on that regard, one thing that COVID did for us is recognize that overall. We as a church wanted to meet in smaller settings rather than be so crowded. Do you remember what it was like when you were here and then we had full overflow downstairs for those that came downtown during that time? And then there was service after service. At one point we had 5 services on a weekend, and it just was so full. And now more during COVID, more campuses opened, which was huge because there just gives expansion, room to grow.
Right.
Having said that, we have wonderful pastors and ministers in all of those campuses, and of course, God's provided those that have just really abandoned their life to serve Him. One of those couples is Abner and Jessica Galvan, who have been on staff for many years, and we've known them since actually before they got married, and now they have 2 beautiful children. And you at Commercial Campus, yes, right. You're there with you right now at the English service, the Spanish one to follow. And so for, I think, all the years that we've known Abner and Jessica, their desire has been for Abner to return to Mexico. That's where he was raised. And for Jessica, just such a heart for that. So piece that together with Pastor Fermin coming
Right.
into the picture from his church in Tijuana, Mexico, and Grupo Unidad, and just the relationship, very supernatural,
It is.
the
God was doing
relationship
it,
that you
right.
have, that they now, you've been working with Pastor Fermin for many months, and so we'd like to announce that we are going to send them to Mexico, and they are
Yeah.
going to support the church there and be on staff
Yeah,
there,
yay.
which is a huge, they're not leaving, we're going to send. There's something so sweet
Right.
and powerful when amongst the body of Christ, when we're able to work together in unity and send, because there's
Yes.
an anointing that comes with that. God said there's a commanded blessing, and we're able to do that. What that does mean is that the commercial campus English, for those that are watching, as well as the Spanish service, who's going to lead those campuses? Dave?
Wow. Pastor Cheryl. We have that covered. We're glad to have Jackie and David Trevino in the North Shore. And of course, he's been helping with the Spanish, coming from Ecuador. They've been helping with that Spanish service from day one, really helping that, as they've been also during COVID. They helped birth the North Shore campus, but they're going to be moving down to help cover there and help lead at that campus there, the commercial English and Spanish. We'll be giving them extra help because there's a lot of work to cover that, but we'll be helping them as they lead that. So that means we need to do a shuffle. And God, what are you saying? How are you putting things, arranging things? So there, those of you watching in North Shore, we want you to know that you won't be left without a leadership. Pastor Chris and Chrissy, their family, have moved to the North Shore, and it's been on their heart for some time to be there ministering and living in that area. And so they're going to be leading the North Shore campus. And we couldn't think of anybody better to be there and caring and leading for that campus. So many life groups we have there, a lot of families that live on the North Shore, West Van, and so they're there to help lead in that area. And of course, if you're at Yaletown, you think, well, who's going to take care of Yaletown? And so we have you covered. You know that Alan and Carmelita have been serving alongside Chris there. And so he also has helped lead Alpha here since probably 1996. And so Alan will be pastoring alongside with Carmelita there at Yaletown. So that too will be covered. We've done this before, not this many changes. We've had Pastor James, who was there at Pitt Meadows, go over and start the Richmond campus, and Pastor Kevin and Wanda, you guys stepped into there at Pitt Meadows. And so we don't do it suddenly. We're announcing it now. They're not going to, these changes don't really come all into effect till May, but this gives us some time to, it's kind of like running a relay race. You hand off a baton, and you don't want to hand it off too short or too long, and so we have 3 or 4 months here where we'll make this transition so that every campus stays strong. You have the prayer covering, the pastoral covering, so you can feel safe to come, invite your friends, and your families have a place to grow and to be nourished. It's our goal that we keep our campuses healthy. Like what you said earlier, you know, we used to try to get all the people into one site downtown, but we heard you, we listened to the people, and especially during COVID. They said, we'd like to have a little more room. It's getting a little too crowded. And so we said, okay, Lord, let's have more campuses. So we did that. And what happens then is you have more communities of maybe several hundred people rather than not knowing people that are sitting even with you. So we're wanting to make it more community by having the campuses. Another thing, too, is more people get to serve. More people are serving, getting to be involved and be part of what's happening. So on behalf of our lead team, our elders, all our pastors, and board of directors, we're excited for what's coming in 2023. We continue to be outwardly focused on helping our city, but also reaching out to the world. There's more to come. I believe God's going to use us to send more people to different parts, and He'll continue to raise up leaders as we believe for that.
Yes, so I wish we could hear all the cheering at all of the campuses. I think the question also needs to be asked downtown with more campuses and more of the strength of our volunteer teams and ministers going to other campuses. What about us here? And that means our downtown campus, our main site, we have a greater need to raise up volunteers and leaders right here. Our bench is very lean right now, and that's because we are sending. But this is always the hub. Downtown is always the hub. And so really hear God's voice and what he's saying to you. If you think, oh, there's so many people already serving, they don't need me, that simply isn't true. And hopefully today, just hearing how many others are stepping out and we're spreading out our church family, that there is a place for you downtown, so that this too is a community where we know one another. And the best way to do that is get involved. And so in January, starting January 8th, we call our Connect course, but that's the best place. If you have not done the Connect course, please join us downstairs after this service. It's at 12:30, and it'll be every Sunday at 12:30. And it's powerful to be involved in community and to grow together. And you can look back, just as these ladies that we heard about today, and say, God, you did that through me?
Right.
I think there's nothing more fulfilling than allowing God to use us, especially when we didn't see it ourselves.
Well said. And I also just want to add, too, that if you were serving before COVID and you're not serving now, we need you back. And we need you serving again. Mm-hmm. And is it exactly the same? No. It's not exactly the same if I go to a restaurant or other places. We've had to adjust and make changes. But we encourage you, come back. Let's keep serving and growing together as we want to help make the city a better place. The world needs the church more than ever. The light of the gospel, the hope that the church can bring, the community that it brings, it's needed in our city more than ever. I don't have to share all the details, but even last week, if you were here, we were praying for a number of families that had experienced loss tragically. We'll have a funeral this week, and we see the brokenness in our city. And the answer is Jesus. The answer is His church. The church is the answer to a broken world, a place where we can be connected. And we're still working hard on it to do it the best way we can. We're always learning, but that's our desire, is to serve you the best way possible. So thanks for praying with us, going with us, and I think that's a wrap. I'll let you have the official wrap up on the overtime, so I'll let you do the closing remarks.
Thank
Pastor
you for
Cheryl.
sharing so much. And so we're going to turn it back over to you, campus leaders and pastors, and pray with the congregation. God bless you guys.